enthusiasts, and welcome to Scale Affairs, the show where I take a closer look on anime figures of all sorts. So sit back and relax while I'll tell you what's maybe worth adding to your collection. Today's figure is Flandre Scarlet from Touhou, released by Good Smile Company. The box she comes in has an okay design, and the side cutout that looks like an actual window gives it a nice touch. Still, in my opinion, the size of the box is unnecessarily large, which leads to the figure sitting relatively far away back from the front window. Therefore, it's hard to judge her overall quality when still packed, and if we strip away all the cardboard, the fact that the face window in the blister is also fake doesn't help with it either. The blister itself is very sturdy, with the base packed beneath the figure and Flandre's crystal reef on a separate layer in the back. Mounting her was surprisingly tricky. I had to use quite some force in order to push her fragile looking legs onto the metal pegs. Eventually I managed to have it flush with the base, but when assembling her back piece I noticed that the slim arm of the doll she holds in her hand popped out of the shoulder, and I wasn't able to push it back without using some glue. When the mounting is done, the figure has a firm stand, but the process to get there wasn't something I enjoyed. But before I talk any more about the figure itself, let me show her base. It's this fairly large piece of clear acrylic glass, and it's so shiny and clear. Call me a purist, but in my opinion more figures that come with a plain base should opt for this style. You see them on prototypes all the time, and for the final product they often switch it out for a worse piece of plastic. The base is so smooth that if she sits on a flat surface like a glass table, she can be rotated by the push of one finger. Almost makes my turntable redundant. On the right side I've summarized some of this figure's key specs. Pre-ordering one of the Scarlet sisters was a no-brainer. Granted, I'm not a Touhou super fan, but I mean, look at her. Isn't she adorable? The moment I saw her, I knew I had to get her for an eventual Halloween-themed picture later this year. Even though she seemed rather pricey at the time, the level of details and the weak yen at the moment helped me to justify this purchase. It's definitely one of the best looking Flandres released up to this point, and if you're wondering how she holds up to older releases, here you can see her next to an older Sega price figure that has the same height but of course lacks in details, and here is a picture of an older Griffon one I reviewed 12 years ago, where they did a surprisingly good job displaying her crystals, but of course you can clearly see that's an older style of sculpting. And if this release isn't well made enough for you, you can of course save up and pre-order this spectacular looking one by Alter. But I digress. Back to this Flandre and all her fine details, like the pumpkin doll and the hat that is actually hollowed out with some candy inside. Another highlight is the piece of cake she holds, where there are even some blobs of frosting molded onto the back of her hand, and to even further embrace the Halloween aesthetic, they added those tiny pumpkin buttons to her shoes. The thin wings with the rainbow colored crystals on it look like one of those chocolate decorations for a cake, matching the candy theme perfect. I also like the fact that unlike older releases, her wings are bent downwards to this horseshoe-like form, making the figure look more compact and balanced. Color-wise I can't really complain. There is some nice shading going on, and also the details like those fine stripes on her chest are done in a flawless manner. If I had to nitpick or state a critique, I wish that the eyes were a bit glossier. Based on the promotional pictures, I thought that they would have slightly more shimmer to it. But ultimately this is such a nice palette of colors, and this baby pink ribbon that spans across the whole figure ties everything neatly together. Flandre's facial expression was the main reason I've ordered this figure, and I'm not disappointed at all how it turned out. There is a slight blush, and also her mouth is colored in a believable way. In conclusion, I really like this one. From the simple base to the overall level of details and the way she is portrayed, it will be a blast to add my own surroundings to the scene when it's time to do a figure photo with her. She will be a great addition to this year's spooky season decoration, and even off-season Flandre doesn't look out of place because the pumpkin elements are not too dominant. I'm not aware if they will release her sister in the same style as well, but even if they don't, it's an absolute gem for folks who appreciate moified versions of beloved characters. Next time, well, I didn't think I would be doing one of these again so soon, but apparently I bought another smart doll. So be sure you don't miss the next episode of Scaled Affairs when I once again take a closer look on anime figures of all sorts. Hopefully I can see you again in the future. Until then, take care and keep collecting.